Hello there, you're watching the Pulse on the Joy News channel this afternoon. Another night of darkness in parts of the country. This time we'll hear from business owners who say their businesses risk collapse with the imminent power cuts during the day as well.
It's very, very, very bad. Do you understand? Very, very bad. So we are appealing to the government to come in our aid to fix their doing so.
There's more as we hear from the Deputy Energy Minister, who assures that the power situation has been completely resolved. We'll get you the very latest on this. The ECOWAS Community Court of Justice is also indicating this afternoon its readiness to adjudicate any election dispute that may arise during and after the general elections.
And then the people who are affected, let's say if a political party thinks that some of the doings of the sitting government is not agreeing with, they can come to the court to remedy the situation. And we've done it several times in Cote d'Ivoire and other places.
And also this afternoon, environmental protection advocacy group Eco-Conscious Citizens is calling on President Akufo-Addo to put words into action and deliver on his campaign promise of fighting illegal mining to the core as the menace continues to wreak havoc in the Ghanaian society.
Honorable for the president to realize how important the issue was to Ghanaians, for him to even realize that he had to tell us something like he's putting his career on the line.
And the excitement as Chef Feilatu may have secured a spot in the Guinness World Record books for the longest culinary marathon after spending 10 challenging days crafting some meals as well for patrons, but patrons who thronged the venue had a different agenda as well. Some of them were able to create some businesses as well for themselves.
Looking for a husband. I'm looking for a husband. If you can get some for me. Is it a military husband you want? An ordinary Ghanaian on the street? Very simple.
And we have these and more stories coming your way here on The Pulse, brought to you by Global Communities, Digni Lu Affordable Safe Sanitation. Don't forget that we're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and myjoyonline.com. Joy News is independent, fearless, and credible. Welcome to The Pulse. And thanks for joining us. Our businesses risk collapse. The words of some business owners in the capital, Accra, and parts of the country as they raise alarm over the impact of power outages and also the imminent cuts on their works. Some communities in the capital were actually plunged into darkness Wednesday night, with others also experiencing power cuts during the day. The minority and experts say the government's failure to pay some key players in the energy sector, including the West Africa Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, has led to the erratic power cuts. My colleague Kenneth JC visited some of these affected communities that experienced the power outages yesterday and now reports.
Parts of the capital and other parts of the country have been experiencing intermittent power outages in recent days, with some Ghanaians calling for a timetable from the Electricity Company of Ghana to prepare ahead of time. But how has this recent power outages impacted them commercially and domestically? Let's find out.
It's been once a while, and then when they come, we have to off all our gases, and about 5 or 10, then to come back again. Then we wait and they off it. They off it again. So that is the problem we have it now.
I can see that you operate a cold store. So how does it affect your business?
It affects very much because without light we cannot operate the cold store. So it's very, very, very bad. Do you understand? Very, very bad. So we are appealing to the government to come in our aid to fix their doing so, I beg you, talk to the government to fix their doing so. You understand? Because anyway, when the light is not there, we cannot operate anything. And we do a pounding of fufu too. So with that light, how can we do business? Now the country too is hard. So please, we are begging, pleading to the government to, come to our aid, please. So that's why we want to talk to the government to come to our aid.
How about domestically in your homes? How has it impacted you? The Dumso at home, has it destroyed any gadget? How has it impacted your home?
With my place, I destroyed my machine. My machine that I used to play music. It's very bad, and my fridge too. You understand? When they off the machine too, they will not even off the light. They don't even tell us, give me any signal that we are going to give light off. So we should be aware to off our gadget. But on the day before we went they off the light, which we doesn't know anything about it. So they have to even give us caution that today or tomorrow we are going to give light off. They will be aware before we light off the light. So it has so many of our gadgets, and it's very bad.
Yeah, it affected us a lot. That was last month, December, around 15th to 20th. Yeah, it affected us a lot. We were having a job on our hand, which is supposed to be delivered for a Christmas program. And for some time now, we sat down without any job. So when we had that job, it was a huge amount of money that we were supposed to do so that we can settle our debts and so on. But unfortunately, we started a job, and on the way, the light went off. So we sat down thinking maybe some 2 hours, 3 hours time, the lights might come. But we waited to no avail. The light couldn't come. So the owner of the job also got depressed because there is pressure on him. He's supposed to deliver the job the following day. So the guy came for the whole job that day and sent it back to another place for it to be printed, where they had these generators and so on. And we lost that day a huge amount of money. Yeah, it continued for about three consecutive times. The same thing happened. We have to wait, thinking the light will come, and the light didn't come. So it affected us to the December, the Christmas that we have to celebrate. Everything was just down for us like that.
Oh, what to me feeling a na me pese me hu se Johnson no say yadura o mo shade time no hu se ene me badwuma mini light ene se mpe me afa akwa me want to makopa be afa na so ba betena ho wudu adwuma ma na fon ne adum no wa untimi nya hwe wo so awde under the day no wa mfa hwe anko fie eto me hu se bi na ato ye ya ewe nya de ade be se bi asida eto me hu se say na aba eti se na Tuesday me se menya me hu se Wednesday me nka ho na me dem budget it means me have pa me team no ha me pa
e buy no asay oni me bia na
oh say adwuma na say me fan akokra so asizi wo fie ba prekope na me so na ti jaire no fan na asizi as me tuko na say moto na ashiro se dem ko pe foforo ana adwuma so de wa adwuma wo gira ho background ka akra na say dum light ya ka rabade na wo ka.
There is no indication yet as to when this power crisis will come to an end. Reporting for Joy News, I'm Kenneth Jesse.
Well, we know that it wasn't only businesses in the capital that were affected, but other parts of the country as well experienced the outages. These are the reactions that we're actually getting from the central region.
Fort Kumsin. I am from Fort Kumsin. I am from this place. It is really affecting us in many ways. In fact, business have slowed because of it. Our phones are being stolen because when the light is off, we can't sit in the shop. The heat is too much, so we have to just get outside and find somewhere we will get some fresh air. Just yesterday, they came to pick 3 phones just after my shop. The shop after my own. They came to pick 3 phones because of this issue, because the heat was too much, so you have to come out and stay outside. Then the person entered and came to steal the phones and took them away. That is 1. And 2, this place, it is only the evenings that market boom. So in the evening when we are selling and there is no light and this place is dark, you have to pack and go. Because even in the daytime, the thieves are worrying us. So how much more in the evening when you are in the dark? It is worse. So you are afraid, you have to just pack and go. Right now when you are even walking on the road, you are afraid. Because there are thieves everywhere. In fact, the doomsday is too much. They said it's not called doomsday, we don't know what it's called. So they should just do something about it. And the worst thing is that they don't even announce. You'll be there and the lights will just go off just like that. It is really, really annoying and it is disturbing. So please, they should do something about it. At least, if there is a power shortage or there is a fault somewhere, they should alert us so that we will know that this is what is going on. So we will prepare for it. But it shouldn't be like you are there, then they will off the lights a whole day. Yesterday, it came around 8 something. When I went to my phone was off. I was cooking and I couldn't even find. I couldn't do anything. I just had to stay outside and wait for the light to come. It's really disturbing. So they should announce that there is a fault here we are trying to do. So if they said it's not doom, so then they have to announce so that we will be aware. So that's our worry right now.
Mpacha FM yejiwa. Mewabra na highlight some de anya kra hwe mitini ho. Miti me ka se mekoye. Me ya koya salon for see ya man light off. Nti esa na onya kwese dry ma wakem. Wa hwe se miti me hu nyina fo. Edu anadwa ye ntumi nda. Mempo de chese me ba beda mpona me kunu pra me kwa na mbuofu. Edu anopa pra me kunu se oyedwuma o so me. Onya kwala pra. Obefia wansi di mpo mfa bi mefie. Because light na no mudi ye adwuma ho edu anwumre so ne e ba beda so no masen adwum light nti chesa ha na de light off na nti se ye nim se light no maton so mo kan kire ye ne na ye ho so na Ghana se be hwe ba bia kwosha ne ye nya nkwoshe ne ye bradodo.
And of course, some concerns from the central region there. Economist and former board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Professor Stephen Adair, is kicking against the newly introduced VAT on electricity, insisting that the VAT will worsen the plight of consumers and make businesses uncompetitive. In a letter from the Finance Ministry on the implementation of the value-added tax on supply of electricity above the lifeline for residential purposes, the ministry urged GRA to ensure it liaises with the ECG and NETCO for the transfer of revenues collected from the implementation of VAT on the matter as part of its domestic VAT collections.
Definitely, I mean, electricity for people is a necessity. And therefore, when you increase it, it will hit many people. Let me say that I'm almost in my home out of the ECG grid. I'm 95% on solar because I saw this coming 2 years ago. And I said, I'm not going to be hit by it. But I think that the idea of increasing taxes, new taxes, rather than implementation and getting those taxes, property taxes, and then paid, should be the norm. And also, we are not getting sufficient from our gold, and now there's an issue about lithium, still going about it as if we are living in the 18th century. So there are certain areas that we should focus. And then the compliance. I think that there's also a lot of corruption within the tax system in this country. I was there for only 15 months, so I can't be an expert in what goes on. But there was a case whereby someone had actually, a government had to pay 100 million or thereabout, I think dollars or cedis, I can't remember correctly, and had gone to get some money and made it 1 million.
Really?
And at the time, of course, they just don't like it. And there are so many leakages in the system that must be plugged. There's no doubt at all people will be worse off. But actually, in other jurisdictions, when you have a VAT rate, it applies to everything.
Okay.
But the question is, what does it bring the electricity? For example, one of the reasons why our factories are not being competitive is the cost of electricity. And I'm not sure whether this one is going to affect also the productive sectors. If it does, we become more and more uncompetitive.
Actually, it says up to 22% for commercial users.
We become uncompetitive because already we are one of the highest costs when it comes to electricity in our sub-region, if not in the world. You first focus on things that increases production, and then that in turn will feed into your tax system. If you muscle those the ducks that lay the golden egg, you are not going to go anywhere else. And at this moment, I believe that things that increase the cost of production in industry should be avoided. We should be going after the billions of uncollected property taxes and people getting away, clearing things, being exempted, not even the more important ones. These are where the mines have millions of exemptions. And these are the ones we should go rather than going after the ordinary producer and consumer when it comes to electricity.
Let's take you elsewhere because school authorities in the Nkwanta South municipality are appealing to security authorities in the municipality to consider relaxing the curfew imposed on the area. It's been 2 months since schools were closed due to some violent clashes which left several injured and created insecurity within the area. The situation has hampered school activities to the detriment of teachers and pupils as well as parents. OT regional correspondent Peter Seno visited some of the schools in the area on day 2 of the reopening and reports on the concerns of some teachers. There's more.
Basic school pupils tidying up their learning environment. As of about 7:45 a.m. Wednesday morning, not very much is seen in terms of numbers and teachers on duty. Only 2 teachers were present when Joy News visited the MA Basic Schools. At the Roman Catholic Junior High School, almost all teachers were present for academic work, with some students already seated in their classrooms ready to study. Mary is one of the teachers.
Yesterday it was encouraging us. Today is much better, and so we are expecting more students to come back. All we are hoping for is the best. We want to plead with all the people involved to give peace a chance. For our children's future is at stake. If not, they will not be able to go further. They are going to compete with their colleagues at Accra and other places. If you don't give peace a chance, it means they cannot perform and go further. And it will affect us, we the parents. It will become a burden on us. So we plead with them to give peace a chance. Whatever the situation is, they should let us solve it amicably.
For Dora, apart from the pupils suffering the brunt of the conflict, the situation is having a toll on their finances.
We are not all that pleased with the happenings because it's affecting our children so much. A lot of our friends in other schools are still learning and we are home. We are losing a lot, and at the end of the day, we are all expecting to perform and then write the same examination. Staying at home, and a lot of us have to travel to other places to seek refuge, and then a lot of expenses, unplanned expenses as well. So it's draining us as well.
At Nkwanta Senior High School, not many students had reported for academic work. Only 10 of these first years were in queue for admissions when we visited. Those in third year have been clustered into classes for tuition. Patrick Agbobli is the senior house parent from Nkwanta Senior High School.
They are coming, except that the number is still low. At the close of yesterday, we recorded 292 students. Yeah, they came.
As a continuing student?
No, the total, including the first years.
He wants authorities to consider relaxing the curfew so that extra academic interventions can be made to cater for the time lost. At Chabobo Girls Senior High School, teachers were in their professional learning community training when we visited. Not many students reported to school on day 2. The head girl for the school, Miracle Ntiamwa, is appealing to her colleagues to return to school.
School is in sessions. Teachers are around, but students are nowhere to be found. You may go to a class and 3 students are there. We will start learning, but when the others come, the teachers will not agree to go back, which will affect us. Already, looking at the situation, the JHS 3 and SHS 3 students are very highly affected, and we need to catch up with time because we have limited time to write our final examination. So, my colleagues in the house, I want to appeal to you. We are here, nothing is happening. I'm here, other prefects are here, students are here, nobody is being shot, nobody is being hurt. Security personnel are around protecting us to make sure that our safety is paramount.
According to the headmistress, Monica Kleku, some students have left the school due to the conflict in the area. She wants them to return now that authorities have called for schools to reopen.
Please allow your girls to come to school. Girl child education is the best. It will help you as the parents. It will help in Kwanta South. It will help Mother Ghana.
Peter Senu for Joy News.
A non-profit organization, the Eco-Conscious Citizens, are calling on President Akufo-Addo to stay true to his promise of dealing with the menace of illegal mining. The president, a couple of years ago, vowed to put his presidency on the line and to tackle the menace.
There are things that we just cannot allow to happen. And one of them is the heritage, the inheritance that our fathers and our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers bequeathed to us, especially the space, the Ghanaian space, which we all occupy. We have a duty to preserve it for those who are coming after us. And if our river bodies are drying up, our landscape is being desecrated, we here, leaders of our society, leaders of our nation, political leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, we have a responsibility to say no. This, we can't allow it to go on for our own common survival and the survival of those who are to come. We can't, if we allow it, we are jeopardizing our own future. The cabinet, when we decided the time had come for us to put the weight of government behind the decision to try and stop illegal mining in Galamsey, when you know that the activities that they're involved in are jeopardizing the very survival of our nation, I took the decision that there would be a betrayal of the trust that the Ghanaian people put in me on the 7th of January this year. And as a result, we established this committee within the government to design a policy for us, not just to stop it, to reclaim the land, to let our rivers work again, but also to see how we can figure a way for all these able-bodied young men who are involved in this activity to find an alternative livelihood. So it's a package. It's a package that we have designed to try and bring this menace to a conclusion. I've said it in the cabinet, and perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
Well, after 7 years, the eco-conscious citizens believe that a lot more needs to be done in tackling illegal mining. Here is a report, of course, capturing the concerns of the group, which is also warning of some dire consequences for the country if the situation remains unchecked.
Conscious is warning of the impending danger Galamsey poses to Ghanaians if the menace is not brought to a halt. Founder and coordinator of the group, Awula Sewa, says Ghana could soon import water from other countries if the practice of Galamsey is not stopped.
Well, I mean, it's dire, and I wouldn't even say we're not expecting. We can't be bothered. I mean, the water company has warned us over and over and over again. We have been told that we face a clear and present danger. We face an existential threat. We know that as a consequence of the illegal mining, the water has become so polluted that the water company is spending more and more and more money to treat the water. And the reason why they had to stop water supply to this part of the Ashanti region, that even their machines are beginning to get damaged because of the debris getting there. So the writing has been on the wall. We know it, but we don't seem to care very much. And I keep on saying that until Ghanaians become angry enough to say that enough is enough, I'm not going to sit there. If the authorities can't be bothered, I am bothered for myself and for my children. Things are not going to change.
Communications Director of Food Sovereignty Ghana, Edwin Kweku-Ando, says President Akufo-Addo has failed in his fight against illegal mining, especially when he famously put his presidency on the line to fight the canker.
It was very honorable for the president to realize how important the issue was to Ghanaians, for him to even realize that he had to tell us something like he's putting his career on the line. This is a warning to anyone who's coming to lead Ghana, whether it be Mahama or Alan Cash, Nana Bediako, who's just outdoored his positioning. It's for you to bring responsibility to the leadership of Ghana. So we expect example, and we don't expect that there will be impunity where government appointees are shaded, are protected.
Galamsey continues to wreak havoc on the environment, causing wanton destruction to nature. But the fight is not over yet. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Kenneth Jesse.
Well, it's a good time to bring in National Coordinator for the Eco-Conscious Citizens, Awula Sewa, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you for your time. We've spoken so many times about this issue. I'm just wondering what else we can be doing now, just to, of course, draw the attention of the President that he needs to do more, as the experts are saying.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. One more thing we need to do is to be angry enough to make it clear that even if we have to down our tools and march to Jubilee House, we're prepared to do that. And also, it's an election year. So we need to make it clear for anybody standing for the presidency, any political party, that there are some environmental demands you need to sign up to. And that if you don't, it would affect your chances of being successful in the elections. And I know that apart from eco-conscious citizens who have worked on a manifesto, a coalition of environmental groups are also doing so. And it's been launched sometime in February. But for today, we have said that any political party that wants to be taken seriously should sign up firstly to revoking EI 144, which declassifies some parts of Achimota Forest, and LI 2462, which allows virtually unfettered access to our forest reserves, including globally significant biodiversity area. And I'm pleased that many others have joined the call, so that is fantastic. And then we also want a pause on community mining. We cannot even properly regulate the big companies. How much more the myriads of community mining, so-called community mining organizations. So we are saying put a pause on it and then enshrine a law where the community itself, where the mining is to take place, can reject the mining, and if they do so, it has to stop. And at this point, we want to praise Shatawale for not being part of the launch of community mining in the Elembele district. We also want a ban on single-use plastics. We think that we can all see what it's doing. It's clogging our gutters and it's not doing us any good. The BBC has even reported that particles are being found in the water we are drinking using the plastic bottles. We also want an executive instrument to be passed which protects our wetlands. Ghana has wetlands where there are buildings, there are all sorts of things taking place. 2nd February is World Wetlands Day, and we want the press to focus on wetlands and the importance of wetlands and other ecological areas. And we are quite clear that we need to protect them. If there are buildings from them, they need to be removed. And in addition, we need to make sure that where it's a wetland, no services such as electricity or water should be taken there for private houses, because you're not supposed to have houses on wetlands. And then finally, we're talking about noise pollution, which people don't seem to take seriously, but which can seriously affect our health. And we're saying that when more than 3 people make a complaint about noise nuisance, the facility or organization where the noise pollution is coming from should be made to stop what they are doing, and then they should be stopped from using amplifiers and so on and so forth. So there's peace in the neighborhood. And they should be stopped until the court of competent jurisdiction can testify that they are not going to cause noise any longer with the equipment they have.
And I mean,
so that's the nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about having the politicians commit to tackling this menace, the point is that they could easily get away with it just for the mere fact of electioneering campaigns. We could have them put that in their manifesto, and yet they may not actualize it when they come to power.
Well, that's why we've given time frames. For example, with the revocation of EI 144 and LI 2462, we said within the first 6 months of your presidency. So it's quite clear after 6 months that they just paid lip service. So then why are you going to vote for them again? There should be no such thing as breaking the 8 or whatever it says. If they sign up to demands and then they do something else, you don't vote for them again. As simple as that.
Is that the most effective way of dealing with this?
Well, I'm not saying it's the most effective way, but it is an effective way of dealing with it. I mean, politicians want power, and they want to be continue remaining in power. So you've signed up to repealing these terrible terrible LI within 6 months. You don't do so. We make sure we don't return into office. And there are other measures we can take. We take them, but for starters, you will not come back. So you only serve, if you are lucky, of 4 years, and that's the end of it.
And while we're at this, of course, Joyce is still uncovering more devastation. Erastus Asari Donko just pointing out to us that there are some more forest reserves that are being depleted by unnamed individuals going, further than we know. Looking at these revelations coming through, what do you think that perhaps the communities can also be doing to aid in the fight against this illegal mining menace?
Well, I mean, we know who some of these people are. Professor Frimpong Boateng has written his report, and nothing is being done. We have asked for a public inquiry into his report. We've also asked that the directors of Akonta Mining be made to answer for destroying parts of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve. You see, if high flyers are wantonly destroying the landscape and we do nothing about it, then it shows that we are not serious. So for starters, these need to be done so that we see that there's something going on. But I would say that all this illegal mining will go on until Ghanaians are angry. We looked at the case of Kakumpa, where there was talk about mining in Kakumpa. The strength of public opinion was so strong that Minerals Commission took it off its website and said that they had no intention of granting a license. So if right now the communities begin to stop it, if they have to do citizens arrest, whatever they have to do lawfully, they do it. If we all march to Jubilee House and say we're staying there until you use your good offices to stop the destruction of our landscape, especially as you said, you're putting your presidency on the line, I think we'll see some result. But at the moment, we don't seem to be angry enough. We need that anger to be channeled responsibly. We don't want any violence. But at the same time, we can't just be sitting down whilst our landscape is being destroyed. And the persons who are putting their lives on the line, people like your reporter and others, I mean, they are risking their lives to bring all this to us. And what are we doing about it? We have discussions upon discussions and no arrests are being made. We know the perpetrators. What is stopping us from arresting them? So if we're not going to do that, the communities should start arresting them, effecting citizens arrest. And the rest of the population, for heaven's sake, should show their anger. Look at the images you are showing. I mean, it's just, I can't even find the words for that. And nothing is happening.
Yeah, nothing appears to be going on. But the point about the president putting his presidency on the line for this, he still has a year to go. Nothing at stake politically, but you're talking about the possibility of tackling this issue if we look at or perhaps revise some of the statutes that we have. Where do we start off from if we're to, at least take advantage of this window where the president is still in office and could do something in terms of revising the laws?
Well, I mean, if he had wanted to do something, he has had 7 years to do it. Of course, he can still do it, but he didn't do it in the 7 years that he had. But what we would say is that we can have demonstrations to encourage him to do it in the period that he has left, because he can then redeem himself. If he doesn't do it, then I'm afraid he'll go down in history as, I really don't want to use the words, but I think everybody knows what I'm alluding to. The destruction that he has supervised and done nothing about, when he could easily have stopped it. So he has a few months left to redeem himself. If he doesn't, the population should be angry enough to demonstrate and to take action. We cannot accept the images that are being shown. This has to stop yesterday.
Any message for our viewers now on what you would want them to do?
Yes, viewers, let's all be angry enough to do something about protecting our environment. We cannot sit idly by whilst it's being destroyed for ourselves and for future generations. Let's demonstrate. Communities, arrest these illegal miners, effect citizens arrest, and cheese, for heaven's sake. You are there to protect your people, not to sell the land for a mess of pottage. Do something, stop these things from happening. And congratulations to the chiefs who have stood up against illegal mining. The rest of you should follow the example and protect your landscape. You are there as a chief for a purpose, to protect your land, to protect your people. That's why you are there. Thank you very much.
Grateful. I will also as convener for the eco-conscious citizens, and even as we speak, we know that Joy News, in partnership with the VOA and other media partners, are of course touring some of the communities, screening to them the findings we have made as part of our fight against illegal mining. We'll bring you updates in our subsequent bulletins. But it's time now to also go back to our top story about the imminent blackouts. Of course, lots of businesses complaining about the effects, and it's time now to, of course, have a conversation on this. Joining us now is Outage Egyapa Mercer, Deputy Minister responsible for Energy. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on the Pulse. Earlier, you were, of course, giving assurances that this is just a one-off and that Dumso will no longer be a case. Should Ghanaians take that, seriously, knowing that, of course, there are some complaints that keep coming through, about the power cuts and, of course, issues still happening in some of the communities?
Hello?
Hello, sir. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Good afternoon. Your intro was not too...
Yes, I was just talking about the fact that you were giving assurances earlier in the day on radio, pointing out that this is over and that we're just out of that phase of
without
the power cuts.
And I can say without any fear of contradiction, this was an incident that really should not have arisen in the first place. I must concede that it was purely as a result of timing, that led to our inability to secure the appropriate approvals to enable us to pay WAMCO on time before the timeline that we have set for us with respect to the curtailment of their services. But that has been done, they've been paid, and so I do not foresee that, contrary, obviously, to the assertion that this is protracted, it's not. The issue has been resolved. There's not going to be any outages. There's no tumsor, which really is a purview of the Mahama administration. But interestingly, over the past 2 days, I've had cause to, in a sense, do some jubilation of sorts that, hey, so today, days like of really can create this kind of disquiet. Clearly, when you put it in perspective with the 4 years that we slept in darkness, then it tells you the kind of suffering that Ghanaians went through. And so I'm excited to some extent that we've been able to fix to a large extent the Dumsor issue such that Ghanaians expect, and rightfully so, that the lights will remain on at all times.
Okay, there was a meeting between...
for one day, they will have cause to complain.
Right, there was a meeting between your outfit and the independent power producers yesterday. What were the concrete agreements that you arrived at?
I'm not so sure whether we met IPPs yesterday. Don't know where you're getting your information from. We had an internal meeting amongst energy sector agencies to try and see how we resolve some other matters in the sector to ensure that there are no outages as we've committed to the people of Ghana this year. We've continued those meetings today, and we've gotten some definitive plans and programs in place to ensure that the commitment that was given to the people of Ghana, consistent with the mandate that His Excellency the President has given my minister, of which we are assisting him, is achieved. No power outages, except when it is an absolute imperative, of which necessarily we have to inform Ghanaians of any eventuality. But I mean, it's not going to be as a result of lack of payment and all that. Indeed, and in fact, since August of 2023, all IPP invoices are current. We've gone into an agreement with them where ECG pays them $43 million a month to meet their invoices. There's an outstanding obligation, which you may term legacy, with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy. The government negotiating team is working to restructure and repay over a period of time. That conversation is far advanced. In fact, we reached agreement, exchange term sheets with a significant number of IPPs. The remaining two or so is still ongoing, and we will conclude the discussions and make sure that we bring some sanity in terms of the finances in the energy sector space.
I see. The reason why I was talking about the meeting with the IPPs was that the sector minister, your boss, pointed out that there was engagements. But by the way, what was the diagnosis of the problem then when that meeting was held? Are we to blame ECG for what we're experiencing, the regulator, or the power suppliers?
I don't think it's a question of blame game. We all know that there are problems in the energy sector, and we are looking to resolve them. And so I will not single out one agency and say this is the person to blame or the other. It's a sector under our supervision, and we ought to take full responsibility for everything that happens in there. We know a few things that need to be done to ensure that the sector is sanitized, and that's exactly what we are working on to ensure that that is achieved.
There's talk about WAPCO and indebtedness to the company. Are you able to confirm or deny that?
Yes, I believe that I said to you that we have some commercial issue with WAPCO. There were some payments that we due them. We made some payments in December. They came back to say it wasn't enough. They wanted more. We went through an approval process to, as it were, get Ministry of Finance to support the payment. Because of the holidays, we are unable to conclude on time. But that has been done, and the funds have actually been remitted to them, as far as I know. And so they restored their services as of yesterday night at 8 p.m. And so the power plants in the east were all onboarded, and full generation, as what's expected, is what I know is the case as we speak.
There's been a lot of reactions to this. We'll get to what Ghanaians are saying. But even in Parliament, the Deputy Majority Leader, Kofi Egyapa, then who served in the Energy Ministry at the time, is pointing us to a possibility of doom so. Your take?
It's unbelievable and rather sad that at every point that there is some issue, the opposition is quick to jump to say that doom so is back. And I wonder whether that really is their expectation, or that because it was an issue during their tenure in office, they would wish that Ghanaians will suffer the same fate under Akufo-Addo administration. Because if for nothing at all, for 7 years, yes, there's been occasions where we've had to turn on the power and fix some systems improvement issues and all that. You recall the Doomsday where we took power off for about 5 days or so. Clearly outlined what it is that we're doing to the people of Ghana and took the power off to enable work to be done. Okay, like I said, we've made a lot of progress, and I do not see why anybody will wish that we go back to do so and do. But of course, it's the politics, and that's how they want to play it. But what I can assure the people of Ghana through your medium is that Dumso belongs to the President John Mahama era. It has never been part of the Akufo-Addo administration, and that is exactly what is going to be for the rest of his term. And hopefully, the presidency of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia comes January 2025.
If we have any community going off after having this conversation with you, what should we take you for?
Well, I wouldn't be in a position to indicate, as I sit here, what localized issue may happen anywhere across the country. But I can tell you that there was some generational shortfall yesterday or 2 days ago of about 510 megawatts. The cause was curtailment of gas flow from the west to the east. That has been resolved. And so that shortfall of 510 is no longer there. And so if there's a localized problem in my area in the European town in Sekendi, it cannot be attributed to the shortfall that we encountered days ago. That's the point that I'm making. ECG has its own operational zones. There are issues that come up. If there's an accident and a vehicle runs into an electric pole and is damaged, they have to fix it. Okay, if it's damaged, the power in that locality where it's impacted will go off. That obviously wouldn't have anything to do with the generation. The assurance that I'm giving to you is that the generational issue has been resolved. In fact, we've never had a generational issue for a very long time, even in the 12 years or the 8 years, 4 years that you and I slept in Dumso. There was no generational issue. As the NDP government just didn't have the money to buy liquid fuel to power our plant. It was as simple as that.
The demand now from some businesses is that we want a schedule. And that's also part of the concerns of the general public, you know, the need to publish a schedule so people will be aware when the lights may go off. Are you open to this idea?
Requirement for a schedule, how do we put out a schedule? What are we going to say in the schedule? That there will be no light off, or that I don't know why anybody will ask for a schedule when there's none required. I've mentioned to you that 2 years ago, when we were doing the Doomsday, my minister held a press briefing and indicated quite clearly that, look, because of some upgrade works that were taking place in the Tema East region, there was a need for power to go up to enable the stringing of the electric wiring and all that on high tension 330 kV transmission line. That was communicated. Subsequently, I believe there was a 3 or 4 day outage. ECG and Gridco issued joint statements to indicate that. This was a 1 day event that has been resolved. So if you ask for a schedule, what schedule do you want?
I'm asking that question because the independent power producers are not done with their concerns yet. Yes, you have a mechanism. Minister, you have a mechanism now between the ECG and the IPPs on the way forward. Yes, I'm talking about the legacy issues and the debts that still remain in the sector. You would have to clear that. Irrespective of the IMF conditionalities. I'm asking how you intend to deal with that problem, knowing that that's the basis of the challenge that you have with them.
Oh, you're making us repeat ourselves. For just so that we are clear. I said to you that there's some legacy issue, which, if my recollection is correct, is about 1.7 billion that we have ring-fenced and are negotiating with the IPP on paying it over a period of time. Those negotiations are far advanced. In fact, term sheets have been exchanged and agreements have been reached with at least 4 of them. There are some outstanding too, but process are still ongoing, including meetings that have been scheduled this week.
And the outstanding ones we know.
If you give me a minute.
Yeah.
If you give me a minute. So that's being discussed. And if we sign off the restructuring and the payment tenure that we agree, the Ministry of Finance is going to pay for that. But their current invoices as of August to date, it's all current. ECG, because of the tiered system that was introduced in the cash waterfall mechanism, what we're saying is that we don't want any issues with the IPP. We are private sector people who have invested in power plants in the economy. So pay them $43 million that's agreed with all of them. The aggregate is $43 million. On a month-by-month basis since August, that money has been paid without
I get that, Honorable Minister. My concern is about the outstanding.
So there's no issue with IPP for anybody.
But my concern is about the outstanding debt. You've talked about settling 4. If I may, there's the outstanding 2. I just want to know if you settled Sonu Nasogli. The concern is that's, of course, a critical facility. You haven't cleared your issues with them. If they pull the plugs today, we may be plunged into darkness.
You see, the structure of our energy sector now, right, is such that every component is a critical piece. Why? Because we have a take-or-pay obligation on the gas side. And so even though we have excess generation capacity, we need to utilize the gas. Because otherwise we'll be paying for the gas and also a take-or-pay obligation on the generation side. So we have to manage it carefully so that we get the optimal benefit as a country from these resources. I'm saying that on current invoices, pretty much okay there.
Yeah, but that's not my question, sir. My question is about my question is about the outstanding ones. You have a key challenge.
If you haven't concluded the negotiation, then what do you expect? I'm saying the negotiation is ongoing. Out of the 6, we have practically reached conclusions with 4. I don't want to disclose them because they are confidential discussions. And so I don't want to put their names out. It's not going to help the discourse in any way. But there's been a whole gamut of negotiations on a case-by-case basis to try and understand each one's circumstances and how then we are able to resolve the issue of the outstanding with them. We've made significant progress with 2. The discussions are ongoing.
Honorable Minister, Sonu Nasogli was out in the public telling the general public that you haven't settled your outstanding obligations. I'm asking you if you
subsequently what happened.
Yeah, so I'm asking what's the status, because it's clear or apparent that you haven't dealt with the critical issues. They may pull the plugs again.
And your definition of the critical issue is Sonu Nasogli, and the rest of them is irrelevant.
I'm asking you a question. My concern is not about yes.
You see, the choice of phrase that you use really can help or lead to a deterioration of the conversation. I'm saying that every single unit within the value chain is important.
But my concern now is about Sonu Nasogli. It's a pretty direct question. Have you dealt with the issues they've brought out in the public?
We are in negotiations with 2 or all IPPs, all of them. 4, we've made significant progress, exchanged them sheets. The 2, we are still in negotiations with them.
Does this 2 include Sonu Nasogli, sir?
I've said to you that because we are confidential discussions, it is inappropriate for me to name the entity. If you think that it is Sonu Nasogli, that's your point.
No, but I'm asking the question because of the transparency issues here. The company was out there in the public raising concerns about...
I've been transparent enough with you. You want me to mention this. And I'm saying to you that because of the confidentiality nature of the conversation, I cannot put out names. That does not stop you from making conjectures. And so if you think if someone is talking, you don't force it out of me. I'm saying to you that there are 6 IPPs that we're having conversations with. Out of them, we've reached significant milestones with 4. Left with 2. That the conversation is still ongoing. And when we conclude, whatever it is that those discussions will be made public for the Ghanaian consumers to see where it is that we are. It's as far as I can go.
So these 4 include Sono Nasogli, which you've dealt with already?
Yes, sir.
I'm with you, sir.
You got your answer.
Okay. Anyway, we'll leave it here. I'm grateful for your time. Kofi Egyapa Mercer is Deputy Energy Minister. Obviously, an interesting conversation there. And of course, I will wait to see what the outcome of the negotiations will be. You're watching The Pulse here on the Joy News channel. When we get back, we'll bring you some more stories. Please stay.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
But it's faster, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Blessing, do you know of any good medical school I can take Kofi to?
Oh, Fifi, is that why you're looking all moody? Then I have some good news for you. The College of Medicine and Allied Sciences, COMAS, Accra, Ghana, is a degree-awarding institution, and they offer Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery using the Graduate Entry Medical Programs, Bachelor of Diagnostic Imaging, and BSc Health Information Management. All these programs are accredited by GTEC. Their bilingual curriculum prepares you to consult in French.
But I'm worried about admissions.
Admissions are ongoing. Contact us on Facebook or on Instagram at info.comas or call us on 0208-456-556 or send them an email info@comas.edu.gh. COMAS, the citadel of a holistic professional medical education.
It's a movement for a better Ghana. The new force.
Embrace the new force.
All my life you have been faithful.
First Sky Group, a wholly owned Ghanaian company made up of First Sky Construction, First Sky Bitumen Processing, First Sky Commodities, Volta Serene Hotel, Serene Insurance, First Sky Energies, and Frero Rural Bank warmly invite you to its 21st Thanksgiving service on the theme, The Faithfulness of the Lord Never Ceases. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 to 23. The Thanksgiving service in 2 parts will be hosted by the founder and executive chairman, Mr. Eric Sedi Kutocha. Friday, January 12, 2024, all night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Trinity Temple Assemblies of God Church, TTAG Community 10 Terminal, ministering in word. Reverend Mark Sese, National Missions Director, Assemblies of God, Sierra Leone. Reverend Sujit Alex, Thames North Area Leader, Assemblies of God, UK. Sunday, January 14th, 2024, Thanksgiving service at the main auditorium of the Accra International Conference Center at 10 a.m. Guest speaker, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, Presiding Bishop, the Methodist Church, Ghana. Special guest of honor, the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokono. Ministering in music will be Team Eternity and others. Also in attendance will be His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Dr. Stephen Yanusam Wengam, General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpon Mansu, Immediate Past General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Dr. Silvanus Amagashichi Elon, Head Pastor, Trinity Temple, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Mark Sese, National Missions Director, Assemblies of God, Sierra Leone, Reverend Sujit Alex, Thames North Area Leader, Assemblies of God, UK, Apostle Professor Kojo Nimfo Opoku Onina, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, Reverend Eastwood Anaba, Reverend Dr. Joyce I, Reverend Eddie Annan, Assemblies of God UK and other senior clergy. For more details, contact 020-854-3441 or 050-148-2580. It's the First Sky Group 21st Thanksgiving service. Don't miss it.
'Cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh yes you have. And all my life you have been so.
And now the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice says it is ready to adjudicate any electoral disputes that may arise before, during and after the general elections this year. West Africa has experienced a surge in unconstitutional changes in government, resulting in criticisms against the regional bodies such as the ECOWAS Court for failing to act on its mandate of justice delivery. However, speaking on the sidelines of a sensitization mission of the ECOWAS Court in Accra today, Head of Legal Services and Research at the ECOWAS Court, Apreku Nketia, told journalists that the regional body is ready to hear the grievances of any political group or individual.
Very well, because as I just said a minute ago, the court is the principal organ of the community. And the matters that the community is facing right now definitely has some legal connotations. So to talk about relevance, I think is an understatement, in the sense that as we speak right now, even the former president of Sierra Leone is having an issue, and then he's brought a matter before the court. And then Bazoum, who was also overthrown, also brought a matter before the court. Sometimes some of this become a stopgap for what the citizenry could have done if there is no such a legal platform for them to assert their rights. So I would say that its relevance is still, vogue.
Well, we're asking the question because if you look at the sub-region, so many breaches when it comes to the rule of law, unconstitutional changes in government. But what role would you say you've been playing to bring down these incidents?
Great. That's a very good, important question. But the problem the court has is, like as you have it in the national system, the court becomes the last resort. And until someone who is affected by some of these injustices and breaches brings a matter before the court Somoto cannot go in there and help. So I think the matters that have been brought before the court with respect to stability, human rights, infringement and the rest, I think the court has distinguished itself very well in that respect. But of course, there's one problem. When the court gives the judgment, it is up to the political leaders to implement. And if without the implementation of the court judgment, the mischief that the applicant who came to court want to avoid will still be there. And therefore, the relevance of the court will not be felt in such circumstances. But of course, if the political leaders are up and doing, and they respect the opinion of the court, of course, at the end of the day, we could keep some of these upheavals that we have in our political... Well, that has been one of the crusades that we've been doing over the years, that if the court is given, even though it may come with some kind of difficulties, but once such a power is given to the court, I think we should be able to navigate some of the hindrances that will, enforcement of court decisions, you must have some standing, let's say, force, like in Ghana or in other civil jurisdictions where you have the police and other security service helping you with the implementation. But if the court is given power to enforce its own judgment, I think some of these nuances will also be looked at, and then it will work well for the patrons of the court.
We have not less than 5 elections, I guess, within the sub-region this year. What role, how are you readying yourself as, disputes resolution body that will aid these countries going into a democratic process? That includes Ghana as well. What role will you be playing?
Yeah, the court as an institution of ECOWAS actually is coordinated with the other institutions of ECOWAS by the Secretariat, that is the ECOWAS Commission. What I know is that there's early warnings committee that are sent into these countries to monitor infractions of our electoral laws and the rest. Once such infractions are flagged, and then the people who are affected, let's say if a political party thinks that some of the doings of the certain government is not agreeing with, they can come to the court to remedy the situation. And we've done it several times in Cote d'Ivoire and other places. So the proactiveness of the people who are concerned in the electoral matters will also help the court in living up with these responsibilities. But of course, if a matter of that is brought before the court under the protocol for democracy and good governance, there are so many provisions that regulate the conduct of elections in member countries. And trust me, if they are brought before the court, we will try to make sure that respect is given to those provisions for the benefit of the citizens of the community.
In the context of Ghana?
Of course, Ghana is not an exception. We treat all member countries the same. Once there's an election, the early warning team will come, followed by some monitoring team, and then we invite also memoranda from stakeholders. If they think that part of the rules of engagement are not being properly harnessed or being abused, the court is there to receive such petitions and deal with it.
When is the early warning team starting its work from Ghana?
Well, there are timelines. I cannot give it off head now, but I know that the ECOWAS Commission does that. Once the election falls in that particular year, there's a calendar that they work with the electoral stakeholders in the country in order to make sure that respect is given to the provisions of the protocol on democracy and good governance.
In terms of workforce, do you have enough judges to sit on these cases?
It's one of the crusades that we're making, but we don't see that being realized anytime soon because the community is calling for economic hardship and they want to cut. And in fact, the entire community is very much aware of the hardship that is being occurring in the country. So we are advocating for more judges in order to create more chambers and panels in handling cases. But I think it wouldn't be ideal at this time because we are all aware. Ghana is not peculiar. All other member countries, when you go, they talk about economic hardship. And the funding of all ECOWAS institutions actually is from the member state.
And now, Chief Executive Officer of the Kofi Teaching Hospital, Professor Outage Mensa, is appealing to philanthropists and also corporate bodies to assist in defraying debts of detained patients at the hospital. This follows a massive congestion at the facility, resulting in the hospital's front desk being used as wards for patients. Patients and emergency units cannot be sent to the wards for treatment as beds are occupied by discharged patients owing medical bills. There's more.
Kofi Teaching Hospital has exceeded its capacity of housing 1,200 patients to more than 2,500 patients. The hospital receives over 800 patients daily. The surging number of patients forced management to turn the hospital's reception into a ward. The absence of alternative healthcare facilities across the Ashanti region contributes to the congestion at the hospital. Professor Outage Mercer is CEO.
And we receive referrals from 12 out of the 16 regions in Ghana. It is naturally at every point in time there are patients that are discharged, but many of them or some of them are unable to go because they haven't paid or more bills. There have been instances where people have stayed in the hospital for about a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and then they kick out. There have been instances when before a gosu tihanano obehena ebia fire area fufu bia na who has been readmitted na akoso ahwe.
The hospital's woes are compounded as patients at the emergency unit cannot be sent to the ward for further treatment. Beds have been occupied by discharged patients unable to pay their hospital bills. Philanthropists and corporate bodies have been assisting in defraying bills of some patients. The CEO calls for more support.
Emergency hall. On your right is the orange ward. It is meant for 12. The capacity is 12. Today, the 9th of January, as we speak, the total number of patients in the orange ward are 40. And so you can imagine. Now, part of the congestion is partly due to the fact that more emergency, they are out of the woods. Also, they will come back to the wards. But overhead wards, now patients who have that beds, so I had discharged them, but they haven't left because they haven't paid their bills. And they contributed to the congestion in that regard. Yellow ward, it is meant for 18. And now, as we speak, the 9th of January, and Nipaneo here 27. Red is meant for 7. The total number of patients as we speak here 13. And you imagine that you share free emergency mode. I will see a call ward for continuous care. Now, eventually, discharge
The Ashanti Business Owners Association have donated over 100,000 Ghana cedis to cover the debt of some patients at the wards. Kofi Egyapa is chairman.
We have a belief that though everybody is a needy, but we see the person who is sick and who is fine in a hospital as the most needy person. So we came together to, in a compassionate way, to come and pay for their bills.
For Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
And now pregnant women in Oforikrum risk losing their babies amongst other related issues within the community. And this is as a result of the bad nature of roads in the area. There's more in this report.
Oforikrum municipality is one of the prominent municipalities in the Ashanti region, considering the location and also the vast electoral population. But it's interesting to know that vicinities in this municipality like Ayeduase, Mena and Buedi are being strangled to extinction by poor roads. And residents here are living in severe concern. The road networks in Ayeduase, Apiedu, Buedi and Emena are rough paths, disfigured with countless potholes that create a turbulent journey. Lucy is a 9-month-old expectant mother who uncomfortably plies the Apiedu Emena road to seek maternal care at the Enimwa Medical Center at Emena. The bumpy, dusty road causes significant jolts, shaking her body joints to the core. Lucy explains how she had to limp throughout her over 25-minute journey to get to the medical center.
Acquiring the potholes, I was so brave. Happened for your namsoa. About so sa free baby, free by Bedroom Hospital one day.
The potholes are too many, and we suffer as pregnant women. The car will shake you and you end up with waist pains. I was so tired when I got down from the bus. I had to limp.
Prince Oboy has been driving within the Oforikrum municipality for over 8 years. He recounts the catastrophic ordeal faced by his pregnant passengers.
I told out to be for pain for Emena Hospital and the High School Junction.
We pick pregnant women, and from the driving mirror, you can see how roughly the car is throwing them about. I am always steady with how I drive. Sick passengers get their conditions worsened. This bulletproof door has ordinarily been coated with white paint, but just as you can see, dust has already formed its coat around it. Let's engage some of the workers to find out how the dust here is affecting their work and their health. The dust is too much. All of our works have been stained. It is even worse when it rains. You can't walk close to the road. Our cars are getting spoiled, and our car owners are seizing our cars because of our constant complaints. I bought an absorber yesterday. It has spoiled today. The aggrieved residents are pleading with authorities to fulfill promises and assurances of tackling the road infrastructure in the municipality. They always come and stage a show like they are coming to repair the road. Yet after elections, it ceases.
They should come and repair the road, else we won't advise ourselves.
Reporting for Journeys, Clinton.
Ghana National Nurses and Midwife Association is demanding that nursing trainee allowances be made a government policy instead of a political campaign promise. President of the association has been speaking at the 31st Annual Delegates Conference of the association in Accra, where there's an indication that the nursing students play a pivotal role in healthcare delivery systems. Therefore, their allowances must also be enshrined in the policies of the country.
We would propose that allowances should be made as a government policy instead of a campaign policy. We must advocate for trainee nurse and midwife allowance to be enshrined in the government policy of this particular country, that no political party can alter it as to whether it's become a government policy that any government that comes to power is to be obligatory for them to do the needful and not to suggest or make reference to other parties of which have not done diligence in the matter. Guaranteeing timely and consistent payment of the trainee nurse and midwives will also be actively to support and augment our trainee nurse and midwives in their duties. Collaborating with the Controller General Department can also provide a clear payment plan, ensuring that the trainee nurse and midwife financial clearance or allowances is being moved from the gift system and be used as well the Controller General Department system to prevent the discrepancies and the inconsistencies in the various nursing colleges. We will also seek that there will be a timely parliamentary review of fee increment proposals. As we speak now, there have not been any bill review for the past 5 years from Parliament. There's a bill act of Parliament that is supposed to review the school fees, rectify some discrepancies, things that need to be taken off, others that need to be added, then submit approval to the Minister of Finance, to be submitted to the Ministry of Health, and then transmitted to the Health Training Institution Unit, to Coheti, and then to the students. But as we speak now, we have not gotten any approved fees from the Parliamentary Act, which is supposed to do this. And we keep on having interim increment from the Ministry of Health, which is affecting the trainee nurses and midwives. Additionally, the voices and perspectives of the student leadership must be considered during discussing to ensure a fair and transparent decision-making to favor the student fund as well as the system put in place.
The Ghana School of Law is demanding that government stays away from its internally generated funds, as this is taking a toll on the infrastructural development of the school. According to the director of the school, Berima Yaokodie, in 2023 alone, the school paid more than 12 million Ghana cedis to the government, representing some 25% of the school's internally generated funds. He spoke at the induction ceremony of the 994 students who passed the law school entrance examination into the 2023-2024 professional career course of the Ghana School of Law.
Established in 1958, the Ghana School of Law is the only institution responsible for training law graduates in the professional law course program. Speaking at the induction ceremony for the 2023-2024 batch, the director of the school, Berima Yaokodie, demanded the government waive the requirement for the school to give 25% of its internally generated funds to the government. He noted that the removal of such requirement will greatly help in expansion of infrastructure for the various campuses.
The Ghana School of Law is the only institution of education that pays part of its IGF to the government. In fact, last year alone, we paid in excess of 12 million Ghana cedis to the government of Ghana. Until recently, the government was taking in excess of 30% of our IGF. And so, Honorable, if you are surprised that since 1982, when you left the school, these buildings that accommodated you and your friends have virtually seen very little or significant expansion. It's all because the government shares our money with us and hardly makes any contribution for the expansion. And so I'm very certain that within a short time, you'll be able to make a case for us not only to get back all our IGF, but also be on the back of other financial institutions, including state institutions, to provide for us the needed accommodation.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, on his part, assured he will ensure funds are made available for infrastructural development in the school.
I want to end up by assuring you that I will definitely be in touch with my good friend, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will ensure that the Ghana School of Law becomes a better place than we have it now.
He also underscored the need for high ethical conduct in the law practice as he bemoaned the falling standards among practitioners and also advised the inductees to see their profession as a service to humanity and not an avenue for making money.
Now, the world is experiencing an ethical crisis, and Ghana is no exception. Some of the issues facing the country are widespread misappropriation of public funds, abuse of power. We have a constitution that we are not following the dictates of the constitution, by the dictates of presidents. We have growing institutional indiscipline. The mentality that winning at all costs is acceptable, and making an exception for oneself without acknowledging any ethical boundaries. Ethical conduct of some lawyers has fallen short of what is expected of.
President of the Ghana Bar Association, Yao Champon-Boafo, charged the inductees to exhibit good character, especially with their social media activities.
Take note of this. Technology aids, but doesn't substitute. Watch what you do on social media, especially in this unforgiving generation of the internet. Because it may be the reason why you never become a Chief Justice. Because one moment of a TikTok post in just in jest. Maybe the day that you appear before the appointments committee for elevation to the Supreme Court, that it will be pulled out that you are not serious. Take your time here seriously.
In all, 994 out of the 2,990 who sat for the 2023 entrance exams were inducted into the professional law course, which is expected to last for 2 years. Prince Kwame Kudogas reports for Joy News.
In Accra, residents of Race Course community in the Anyasotum constituency have raised concerns over security issues and also the activities of some shipping and logistic warehouse companies in the area. According to the Landlords Association in the Anyasotum community, the big trucks offload goods into warehouses, posing danger to residents, especially school children. There's more in this report.
The association, they have written several letters to the municipal chief executive, police and other stakeholders concerned, but to no avail. They complain that robbery cases are even higher due to recent power outages. Coupled with this, activities of shipping and logistics warehouses are posing a danger to residents. Joseph Egyapa Mercer is the vice chairman of the Landlords Association of the community. He has been speaking to these concerns raised by residents.
The most scary part of his activities are these 40-footer vehicles, which are parked, 40-footer vehicles, containers, which are parked in front of the houses. One can count about 4 or 5 or 6 these long vehicles parked on this very small road, which endangers pedestrians, especially school children. We have about 2 or 3 schools around this area. And in the morning, you can see parents rushing to school with their children. And it's very, very scary that if action is not taken and the most untoward happens, it will be very, very unfortunate for people who are staying in this area. A person who is using the place as a warehouse don't even have a fire extinguisher in the place. And if maybe certain untoward thing happens, the whole area will be put into flames. Yeah, we have written about 5 letters to the assembly, yet we have not received any response from them as far as action to be taken against him for not using the place as a commercial entity, which the assembly knows that is a purely residential area. But their inaction has resulted in we taking this matter to the courts. If we are pushed to the wall, I think a court will be the ultimate. When we talk about security, it borders on somebody being harmed, somebody, let's say, in case of an accident, robbery cases.
Residents had this to say about the situation.
I am very much in support, especially with the nuisance of the trucks from this stretch down from the junction there to the back there. I think there are about 3 warehouses in the area, almost on every lane. And I think the main concern is anytime you're driving out or in, you have to meander your way through to reach your destination, because the roads are not that big enough for them to also park whilst traffic can also flow easily. If he could put in mechanisms that maybe the trucks can come in one at a time, or immediately they come, they enter his premises and offload the goods and then go away, I think that will help all of us.
There are a lot of warehouses here, 1 or 2. Here is good for the community. It's good for the community. So probably what the owner of the business is supposed to do is that you put in, safety measures. As the earlier speaker said, maybe one container comes, he enters, another comes, also take off his goods.
3 years or so has seen some activity of miscreants. I had a personal experience about 2 months ago. Somebody climbed over my wall in the night. I think there was lights out. And then he jumped into my compound and started removing our driving mirrors. So they removed two mirrors of two vehicles, my personal one and the other person's car. A generating plant that was working, that was functioning, but somehow they managed to steal it.
So the long vehicles, because of recent power outages, could cause road accidents, and also there's a school located right around that place, and students have been using that route. So maybe they have to use like road signs to alert people that there are long vehicles around, and that when they are using the road, they should be careful. That's it.
So, we have a problem over here because of the shipping agents who are posing a hazardous danger for the community, especially the school children. And because of that, on this road, you see, the trotro drivers and all the drivers coming towards racecourse, they all pass over here, and it's causing a lot of problem for us. On the other hand, the government says they have constructed this road since 2015, but it has not been captured. You can see for yourself how the road is.
The ACT Foundation is calling for the operationalization of the Domestic Violence Fund. Since the establishment of the fund, the victims haven't received aid from it due to government's failure to implement proper disbursement structures. The executive director of the foundation, Angela Joamina, made the call during a donation event by the 1973 set of Wesley Girls students as they celebrate 50 years.
2 in every 5 women in Ghana have experienced a form of domestic violence, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Despite the escalating cases, victims struggle to access support. Although a domestic violence fund was established for this purpose, it remains non-functional since its inception.
Even though there's a Domestic Violence Act that has set up a domestic violence fund, that fund is still not operational in terms of being able to not only generate money but disseminate money to those of us who are practitioners on the ground.
Speaking at a donation made to the ACT Foundation by the 1973 Old Girls of the Wesley Girls High School as part of their 50th anniversary celebration, the executive director of the foundation, Angela Joamina Abuaji, appealed to the government to put in place the necessary measures to ensure the fund is operational for victims to get the necessary support.
What the government agencies and the government can do, make sure that that domestic violence fund is working. If it works, that is the legal way that the government has provided for those of us who work with survivors to be able to tap into those resources and use it to support, not take hold of the whole work that we do, but to support the work that we do with survivors. So if there's anything I'll tell any government, and it has not been this government, it's been administration after administration. We've been in this for 25 years, okay, administration after administration. It's just that make the legal provisions that you've made for funding that fund and making sure it is operationalized, because we get the information that funds go into that fund, but just ensuring that people are able to access it, it's a problem. And it's more of somebody not doing their job.
The Old Girls donated 50,000 Ghana cedis to the foundation to help refurbish the shelter for victims. President for the year group, Gladys Asari, commended the foundation for its great job over the years.
And I must say that we are very impressed with what you are doing. And I'm happy that we decided to take up the challenge to support you. In fact, sometimes when you hear about these NGOs and the things they are doing, most people do not have confidence in them, because there's always been NGOs who start and then somewhere along the line, then nothing happens. So when we muted the idea that we need to support people who are in this kind of things, and Susie suggested, we took it up. And I must say that it was a very good decision that we have made. Now we have had.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day, and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry, with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
So much about you, and I believe that when we go from here, we'll want to do more for the shelter.
Angela Dramina Abuaji also called on well-meaning Ghanaians to support the cause of the NGO.
If God gives you some funding in your pocket, remember there are places, good places that you can take these funds to. Okay, so here I won't even just speak for the ARC Foundation. I'll speak for every organization that works directly with people. It's a life thing. You take care of the person from morning till evening, till night, till the next morning, depending on the need that they have. It's not that they are weak, it's just that they are in trouble. And so all you're doing is to try to bring out of them the resources they need so they can live a life, a productive life. And so if you have money as a church, as an organization, as a person, and you please come to us, bring us some money, we'll put it in the right place.
The ARC Foundation has been supporting domestic violence victims for the past 25 years. Esther Nkrumah and Matilda Senes report for Joy News.
Faila too may have secured a spot in the Guinness World Record books for the longest culinary marathon after spending 10 challenging days crafting some meals for patrons. But some of the patrons who thronged the event center had other purposes in mind. Some attendees supporting Chef Faila were also actively seeking for partners during the event.
It makes a lot of business here. People are all over making monies. If you make yourself not to be lazy, you will get what you can get here.
So you think it's her performance here is an avenue for people to make money?
Yes, it's true.
How much do you charge for a motorbike? Or is this you have a flat rate?
The motorbike, when they are back,
you have a flat rate, or what's the variation?
The issue is that in the motorbike, if they are to park and you give somebody a ticket, if the person come out, the person will just do something. 2 cedis. So that 2 cedis, at least you help the organization and Madam Faila and help that person too, because the person come out anytime that the person wants and take his motorbike.
I'm looking for a husband. I'm looking for a husband. If you can get some for me. Is it a military husband you want? An ordinary Ghanaian on the street? Very simple. And what are your specifications?
Oh, at least the man should be understandable. The man should know whom I am to pick me, and I also accept him.
So now you see, this platform is just not for cooking. No. Someone is here appealing for a man, so if elsewhere or anywhere in Ghana.
Well, we say good luck to her. Anyway, that's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse. I'm blessed to log on to myjoyonline.com. Lots of stories there for you to update yourself on. But we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.